Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes, right? Hi. So I'm Andres. I'm the CEO of Restack. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a demo so you can see our framework, like a little sample to explain what do we do. And basically what we see is like Restack, we see that many agents are failing in production. And what we do is to help you to run agent in production. So we have a framework that helps you to build reliable and more accurate AI agents. Let me just go into some code. So I think this is large enough, right? So basically when you are using Restack framework, what you do is you split your logic in small functions first that you're going to consume later in a workflow. So as a function, basically what you do is, for example, you wanted to talk to an LLM. So you will write a function, you will call to the API of that LLM, and that's it. Just in plain basic Python or, I lost it, like here, Python or TypeScript. So this is one of my first functions you can see here. I added in a function folder, and we have here, I import from Restack function. We have here some mock data that I'm going to use for the demo. And basically, I have here 3 functions. So it's a boring example. So I'm just getting the temperature, the humidity, and the air quality of for a city. And so this is three functions that I define with the decorator so that later I can consume in my workflows. Now I have another function here that is a bit more interesting. So again, I just import a function from Restack. And what I'm going to do here is to use the Gemini model. And basically, I'm going to send these 3 existing tools as tools declaration to the model. And the model will tell me what should I do next. And we will execute this function. So you can see here, I have Gemini. And basically, I'm passing as a content some user content, a chat history, and we will end the tools, basically. What you can see here, and one of the basic principles that we have at Restack is we believe that at this level, when you are just talking to APIs endpoints, an LLM model, you should have full control. And so we don't add any abstraction. As you can see here, we didn't do anything yet with Restack. We just add a decorator. So that's something that we believe that should be, that will give you more control over what you do with the models. And now I'm going to go into a workflow, and I'm going to use exactly this function that are already defined. So in workflows, I have 2 workflows. One is just this swarm. It's a parent workflow. It's a workflow that I created just for the demo. So the only thing that it's going to do is it's going to spin up 5 child workflows. So the only thing that it's doing is, okay, creates 5 workflows, run it. I wanted to showcase that you can run in parallel many workflows. So that's the only thing that it's doing. And this is the 5 workflows are going to be those ones. What we are doing here is, first, we import workflow from Restack. And then after that, we add the decorator of workflows. And then basically what we are going to do is we're going to use workflow steps. So we're going to have 2 steps. First one is calling the function, the Gemini function I just mentioned before, so the tool calling. And we are going to pass to it, like, again, the history, the tools. And this is what starts to be interesting from what we offer. So you can see here that we are telling the, basically, with the framework, we are saying, I want this step to time out after 860 seconds. So this is something already built in. And even more interesting will be, okay, it's coming. Yes, okay. More interesting will be the retry policy as well. So we define here that I wanted to retry this step 3 times. So if it fails, it will try again and again, so 3 times. And after the 3rd time, if it fails again, then it will just return an error. And As well, we are defining a task queue. The task queue, in this case, I call it Gemini. It will run above all the deployments. So if we are going to run that now in local, but in our cloud or in any other cloud, we'll run in Kubernetes in parallel. And if you have, for example, this Gemini call running in parallel, like, I don't know, dozens of times, you wanted to have control, like a task queue that control all over your deployment, and you can ensure that the rate limits are the ones that you want. I will show later how to do that. But for now, what you can understand here is that we have one step that is calling Gemini, where we are selling some tools, and we already define the timeouts and the retry policy. After that, you can see here what we get is Gemini is giving us the candidate. So basically, Gemini is telling us, run this function or this other function. And what we're going to do as a second step here, where we are saying basically, okay, for every function that Gemini is telling us to run, we just execute it. That's the thing. As you can see, it's again basic Python, so you can use any logic that you want. We use a loop, but you can use you can do something like more sequential, or you can run in parallel. So it's up to you how do you define your agent or your basically agentic workflow or your workflow. It's up to you. And then now the last part of the code is just the services. In the services is where you define how these workflows and function will run. So I have here one service. The first one is my Gemini workflow, where I'm just saying, okay, the Gemini workflow will run in a task queue called Restack, is the basic one. And I want it to run concurrently 1,000 times. So it can run, this workflow can run 1,000 times at the same time. The second one is the swarm. The swarm is the parent that execute the others. Same thing, Restack 1,000 times. I'm going to run it once, but here we are allowing to run many more times. And then at the end is, maybe this is the interesting one. The one function, like the true function that calls the Gemini API, here we define a rate limit. So we are not paying for the API, therefore our rate limit is 0.16 per second, so it's like 6 times per minute. So, and the important part in here is like, if I run this again, 1,000 times in parallel, we will have this task queue called Gemini that will ensure that we are not going to call the Gemini API more than 1 time every 6 seconds. So probably that's not ideal for your application if you run it 1,000 times, but well, you can get different tokens, rotate tokens, and do things like that. But the power that it gives you is like, you control 100% the rate limits over the LLM endpoints or any API. And then at the end, we have the tools that we defined at the beginning, with the temperature, again. Okay. Yes. Sorry, let's see. It's not coming back now. I need to get a new one. I'm gonna just run it. So I'm gonna run the, run dev. I'm gonna run the services. And this is our developer UI. What you see here is basically, we have an endpoint defined, like I defined that on the services here. I said I want an endpoint for my Restack swarm, like the parents workflow that is gonna execute the other ones. So I want to have an endpoint so that I can call it from anywhere and trigger the whole agentic workflow that I defined. I can just do that. Like here is, as you can see, just a REST API. You can call that for any application, your Vercel, your Streamlit, whatever client that you want to use. And I'm going to just run it. And we see that here now. So forget about the green ones that I ran that before, but you see here that all those workflows, they started to, they were triggered just right now. So if I look for the swarm, this is the parent one that is actually spawned all these other 5, and the other 5 are here. Now, what is happening in here is all of these 5, you can see, for example, this one already finished. So you can see that for New York, for example, it finished. So what happened is, as I said before, first we have a task queue with the Gemini, and it is calling like the task queue determines that it cannot be called more than 6 times per minute, and that's why the other ones are waiting. And after calling the Gemini function, then we have the 3 tools, and then at the end, it puts all together, and we can see here complete workflow with the current temperature is 72 Fahrenheit, humidity 60, and air quality is moderate. And we see here that already LA, Chicago, so the 5 that we ran already finished. And then the swarm workflow, like the main one, wrap all the data.
Unplug and replug.
I mean, I'm just almost finishing, so, but yeah, all the data is in there, it worked, and here we have it. So this is basically the benefit of the Restack framework, that you have like retries, you have control over the deployments, even if they run in parallel. And we have a really nice UI where you can control how your deployments are happening. You can schedule, you can run your single functions, you can retry from any point of your application. So I can go here and say, okay, I'm gonna run from here my workflow, and I don't have to run it from the beginning. So if at some point you are loading a PDF that it takes you like, or a video that takes you a few minutes, you can run and keep developing or trying from any point in time. That's basically it. We are gonna have an event happening this Friday at the AWS GenAI Loft, where we're gonna have a workshop to show how to build agents with Restack. So I will be happy to see you there. And if you want to talk to me today, or Martin over there, as well from Restack, so just reach out. Happy to talk to you.
Q&A?
Sorry?
Q&A?
Yeah, sure.
Does anyone have any questions?
Martin here.
Martin?
I know.
No question. Okay, we have a question. Eugen, this is your 2-minute warning.
Just a very quick question. Is this similar to temporal, like Restack?
So
how is it different?
So, yes. So yeah, temporal. So we use one of the components. So we basically build everything on top of temporal and Kubernetes. So temporal is one of our core components. Yes.
Any other questions?
So you mentioned some of the functionalities that you have, like the retries and so on. So what would be a comprehensive list of all the things that I can abstract away as I build the application by using your framework, to not have to do the work myself? So I got the retries. I would love to have more details, please. Thank you.
So sorry, the question is like, how do you implement that?
No, so retries is one. What are the others?
Sorry. Yes, you have so retries. You have limits. You have concurrency, so you can define how do you run it concurrent. You have timeouts. You have. I will have to go through all the features. Martin. Task queues. So. Yeah, so no infrastructure actually, so you can run it in an EKS cluster, for example, yourself in any Kubernetes cluster or in our cloud. Yeah.
Normally you would put a fast API or Flask in front, but you don't need that for code, for example, perhaps because you have the REST API endpoints out of the box. So every workflow is a REST API endpoint, and you don't need to worry about that.
Yeah.
All from your Streamlit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Could you pass that back? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your interesting talk. So just curious, is there a specific reason why you chose Gemini as your model?
No, there is not.
Okay.
Like you can use any model as you want. Like at the end of the day, like at the function level, you're just using common plain Python or TypeScript. So call whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
sure.
All right, anyone else?